So I've been carpenters for 14, coming up 15 years in a local shop where we do carpentry from forests, taking down the trees ourselves, cutting down the trees ourselves, and putting the trees through a workshop into final construction. The forest workshop is 40 acres, and that's enough to reproduce the wood that we take out each year. So we take down trees when they're getting 100 years old, and we have a forest in 5 years intervals. So every 5 years there's a forest part that is 100 years, and we take that down, plant new trees, and we are all the way around. We could start over. The farm is 100 acres, but most of it is rented out for farming and for growth in forest or in buildings for the future. Our firm has started as a very, very small firm when my dad bought some old machinery cheap just to get started. In Denmark, you are taxed on how much you profit after each year. So if we were lucky enough to make a little bit of money, it was better to buying a machine than to claim the money ourselves. So when the year was passed, we were looking at the account with the money, then we have to buy a little bit. And at some point we bought an old sawmill, and the old sawmill have made a lot of wood for us, but it was a slow and heavy process for us. So in time we had the money to buy this new facility. We simply just started very small and bought a new machine whenever the money was to it. It runs mostly from autumn to spring and makes heat, and on the very windy days our power supply is shutting down, and this supplies all the heat that's needed for all 3 buildings.
How many kilowatts?
17. When we cut all our waste we put in this building, the power supply is taking in the wood itself and cutting it to those pieces that it needs to burn, and it start up whenever the degrees is under 57 Celsius and shut down when it's 87, and then just taking in whenever it needs. So I use the coffee table to fill the tank. I do that twice a year. And everything I need to do is empty the, do we call it coal container, ash. I do it once a month. It does the rest itself. So this is the workshop that my father designed after the cows got out from here. It's mostly pulled up to make windows that can't be made in factories. This is mostly for transporting carpenters and their food. We need at least 3 kilometers of sight and at least 200 meters to the clouds before taking off. Most of our customers is owners of summer houses. We talk to them in the holidays and they say we need to do this and this and this before we come to the next holiday. And when we do it, it's up to the weather, but as long as we keep it between the holidays, they're happy. The name The Flying Carpenters came when we have been in Anholt working for 5 years with a plane. Another carpenter came sailing to the island. He was called the Floating Carpenter and we were called the Flying Carpenters. And that's how we got the nickname The Flying Carpenters. The wood is being still while we're cutting. It's the saw heads that move back and forward, and I can move the wood from inside the control room, and when I have been cutting, the wood comes out here and to the sorting table where I can turn it left or right depending on if it's usable or if it's waste. The machine is doing some noise. Don't get near the machine please, for safety. The sawmill doesn't care what speed I cut. What can be said is how beautiful does I need it to be. The faster I cut, the more the wood will do like this. So it depends on how much I have to do inside the workshop afterwards. If I cut slowly, the cut will be smoother. So all our waste wood we place here and just blow it into the building here behind us. All this was made yesterday. Så siger den selv, Jamen, så skal den så lave et snit i...
We thought we had to have license. I used to joke that in these environmental times we need more samples than the wood was long. We called Teknologisk Institut, they're called in Denmark, and asked them what do we do? And he said that license are only for if you are selling your wood to other companies, other carpenters. If you're using it for yourself, then you can have the responsibility. You have to decide which wood can be used where, and if anything happens to the construction, the responsibility is on me. That means that we can choose the wood that we think is secure compared to where it's going to fit in the building, if it's going to be a vertical construction or it's going to be roof construction. So we are sorting in spurge and large and whatever kind to make sure that the right piece of wood is going the right place in the construction. If I have to sell the wood, I'll have to sell it to other carpenters, and it has never been the intention of the workshop, but I'll have to get licensed to do this. The procedure in doing that, I'm not sure how that's going to work because we were told we didn't need it as long as we don't still. The building is a way to construct the building after the sawmill. So we bought the sawmill first and then draw the building so it fitted exactly to the sawmill where the lifting was needed, where everything was going to go. So that's why the building is made with a lot of corners and stuff like that to make sure that the building fits the sawmill's needs.
This is going to be the new building. I'm building it in my spare time, so I'm planning on being finished around 25.
In this building there will be an oven for drying, the machines that will be needed for running the chainsaw and getting the most out of the wood with minimum waste. The sawmill is having its own vacuum, taking maybe 80% of the dirt, but the last 20% is going on the floor to cleaning. So when I cut for one day, I'll have a 1 hour cleaning. I want to do that better. I'm making a hole under the sawmill all the way where I'll put a rubber band. All the dirt is going down under the saw to the rubber band, and the rubber band will take it out of the building. The idea, if it works, that there will be very little cleaning from this process.
I've used 5 to 8 meters of different kind of woods all the way around the building, so the customers can come out here and we can walk around the building and say, I like this one, and we built that. It's my plan that when customers come to a carpenter workshop, they will be inspired to build from wood. This summer I built that terrace. We had a wedding in 19 and we were wishing money for coming out on wedding holiday. But then came Corona and we never got away. So we used the money on wedding vacation in the backyard instead.